With her decades-long solo career and legendary voice as lead singer of Fleetwood Mack, Stevie Nick has always been associated with mystery and glitz. However, few people have truly understood the story of suffering and tragedy that lies beneath the glamour and splendor. In Lies Beneath the Glamour and Splendor, you'll learn about the tragic realities that have shaped Nick's rise to fame as one of the most legendary singers of all time. In this scary documentary about the darker side of her life, Jess and Barbara Nicks welcomed their daughter Stephanie Lyn Nicks into the world on May 26, 1948, in Phoenix, Arizona. Stephanie has a mixed family tree with Irish, Welsh, and Germanic roots. When she was 4 years old, her grandfather J. Nicks Sr. taught her the joys of. As a caring parent, her singing teacher helped her harmonize with his voice. Her mother kept her inside and encouraged her interest in fairy tales. When Stevie was a little girl, she had trouble pronouncing her own name, so she called herself TD. Her cute nickname Stevie came from this. Francisco were among the places her family lived because her father had to move for work a lot. She wrote her first songs, I've Loved and I've Lost and I'm Sad But Not Blue, when she was 16 years old. When she was a youth, she got a Goya guitar. Stevie's first musical endeavor was with the folk rock band The Changing Times, which was based in California and was known for their beautiful harmonies. She met Lindsey Buckingham, who would become her future musical partner and love interest, at a Young Life club during her senior year at Menlo Atherton High School. She saw him play Californication Dreaming and decided to sing along. Stevie thought he was charming, she remembered. When two of Fritz's members quit, Buckingham asked Stevie to become lead singer, and the two of them kept playing psychedelic rock music. Fritz inspired Stevie's electric stage persona, and the two of them opened for big names like. After going to San Jose State University, where she and Stevie continued their education, she became an English teacher. But she dropped out of college and joined Buckingham in his music business with her father's permission. Stevie and Lindsey stayed together. Even after Fritz and Lindsey broke up in 1972, they kept making music together and recording demos in Daly City, California, at night. After much negotiating, they finally signed a contract with Poor Records, and in 1973 they released an album called Buckingham Nicks. Tragically, Poor Records let them go after the record failed to chart, and Stevie had to work many jobs to make ends meet. Lindsey got mononucleosis, a virus that causes a sore throat and sometimes other problems. After living with Lindsey for a while, she and Keith Olsen moved out, but she kept working as a waitress and even cleaned Olsen's house around the same time. At that time, Stevie started using white stuff because she thought it was safe. Lindsey went on tour with the Everly Brothers, but Stevie stayed at home to work on writing songs. She came up with the name Ran after seeing it in the book Triad. Eventually, she felt more connected to Rian in the Maugean novels, and even bought the rights to turn the story into a movie. She wrote Landslide, and was inspired by both the beautiful scenery of Aspen and the problems in her relationship with Lindsey. Frozen Love by Buckingham Nicks was played to drummer Mick Fleetwood by a producer named Keith Olesen in late 1974 as he looked for a recording studio. Mick called Buckingham's guitar work outstanding after guitarist Bob Welch quit, so he invited him to join the band. A member of Fleetwood Mac refused to join without Stevie Buckingham, saying that the two of them were inseparable. The band changed Fleetwood Mac from a British group to an Anglo-American one after deciding that Stevie and Lindsey would make the band even better. Everyone in the band thought that Stevie and Lindsey's harmony added a pop touch to the blues-based rock sound after their first few practices. Fleetwood Mac's self-titled album from 1975 was Anne. Rolling Stone magazine even said that Stevie's song Rainin' is one of the all-time greats. Mick Fleetwood said that her live versions of the song were so powerful that they were like an exorcism. Radio stations played the album's hit song Landslide millions of times. Stevie Cooper worked with fashion designer Margie Kent to make A. As she became more aware of her performance image, she wore Shaw's platform boots and long skirts in a bohemian style. Even though Stevie and Lindsay's relationship was on the rocks, Fleetwood Mac was doing well. In early 1976, Stevie ended the relationship, and the band started recording what would later be called. The album wasn't finished until late that year and was called Rumors. Warren Z. On CD had Stevie and Lindsay singing background vocals. Dreams, the band's only #1 hit, was one of Stevie's contributions to Rumors. Silver Springs was another song she wrote and recorded, but the band didn't want too many slow songs on the album, so it wasn't included. The recording engineer was annoyed that Silver Springs wasn't included because it was too long, because he thought it was a great song with some of the band's best guitar work. A website to the single Go Your Own Way was released later. It was called Silver Springs and was about her troubled relationship with Lindsay. Fans of Fleetwood Mac quickly realized the single's rarity and value when the band released a 4-disc retrospective in 1992. Fleetwood Mac's second album, Stevie Nicks and Lindsay -1977 Rumors, sold millions of copies and was the best-selling album of 1977 for 31 weeks. It was the most played album in the US and also topped the charts in other countries. One of the album's 4 top 10 songs was Stevie's Dreams, which helped it do well. Win a Grammy after a performance in New Zealand in November 1977, Stevie and Mick Fleetwood started an affair behind the scenes. At the time, Mick had a wife, and Stevie was shocked and ashamed by what happened, saying she never thought this would happen to her. The affair ended quickly because Stevie loved Mick and his family too much to let it go on. When Mick split up with his wife in October 1978 and married a friend of Stevie's, Sarah Razor, Stevie ended the affair because she thought it would ruin Fleetwood Mac if she didn't. The members of Fleetwood Mac, Stevie, Lindsay, Christine, and John McVie, were all dealing with their problems as their fame grew. Stevie and Lindsay had turned down low-paying jobs in the past, and Stevie was angry that she had to work as a waitress instead of doing what she wanted. A stronger bond with the band, she told Lindsay that they needed to work out their problems. Unfortunately, things were getting harder, and problems continued even between Christine and John McVie. In 1976, Christine had an affair with a lighting director while Stevie was recording Rumors, which was a record about the band. Both Secondhand News and Never Going Back Again were emotional songs by Buckingham. Ebb and Flow of Women was about Stevie's dreams, and Christine's Affair was about Christine's affair. You Make Loving Fun was a Grammy winner, but the band members weren't happy with their success and were looking for love. Fleetwood Mac members worked very hard to keep the band together, even though they had disagreements. However, Stevie Nick's voice started to get worse as the band continued their nightly tour, and music writer John Rockwell noticed small solid lumps on. Several of Stevie's shows had to be rescheduled in August 1977 because of her scratchy voice and inability to reach higher notes. In July 1977, Stevie talked about her problems. She said that her singing voice was getting worse when she spoke. Normally, the only way for her to get better was to get special steam treatments and stop smoking. Steve Jobs famously said, "I'll just do the best I can," when the band was on vacation from touring. But Mr. Rockwell also noticed that Stevie was acting carelessly and not taking her work seriously enough in his opinion. What he left out of his statement was that Stevie was becoming heavily dependent on drugs and alcohol. In the early 1980s, Stevie Nicks was caught in a deadly dubstep addiction. Her habit got worse during Nicks's famous video Gypsy, and she struggled to break free, even though she tried to quit as early as 1982. Things got worse when she started smoking cigarettes in a chain in 1986. The terrible effects of her drug abuse were clear. The white substance had burned a hole in her nasal septum. After much thought, Nicks's family and friends demanded that. According to an interview with Rolling Stone, her close friend Tom Petty said, "I was really worried about her. I wouldn't have been surprised if I got a call telling me she had died to get her problem under control." Nicks went to the Betty Ford Clinic in 1986, and it was there that she wrote a number of powerful songs about her struggles and final recovery. Nicks's solo album, The Other Side of the Mirror, had songs like Escape from Berlin and I'm Doing the Best I Can, while Fleetwood Mack's album, Tango in the Night, had songs like Welcome to the Room, Sarah, and When I See You Again. However, Nicks's road to recovery wasn't easy. In the late 1980s, she became dependent on clapping, even though her psychiatrist had given it to her for her panic disorder. As a result, she went back to the clinic while on Oprah Winfrey's Masterclass series in 2013, Nicks talked about her life and issued a strong warning to viewers not to spend money if they are struggling with an addiction. Getting help will be expensive, but it is necessary, or you could lose your life. Stevie Nicks told People magazine a scary story in 1998 about the day in 1986 when her plastic surgeon told her that her cocaine use could cause death. A terrible brain bleed if she didn't stop. Her health had already been affected by her drug problems, but the threat woke her up. New York added a lot of weight after her many stays in rehab, lifting up to 175 pounds. Nicks' weight gain was obvious during her concerts at the Clinton White House. She finally lost it at the end of her 1994 tour. She had lost a lot of confidence because of the constant bullying and body shaming she had been through, which made her seriously consider quitting her beloved music career. To make matters worse, she found out she had the Epstein-Barr virus, which was making her so tired all the time. Her weight became an issue in the music industry, which is sad. What's even more impressive is, although Marceline and Carol Thompson, two college students, looked into Nicks' drop in album sales in the early 1990s and linked it to her weight gain, they came to the conclusion that female fans couldn't connect with her once heavenly voice. To protect her career and sense of self-worth, Nicks swore she would lose weight. Before she went back on stage, she lost 30 pounds in 1995 by following a strict low-carb, high-protein diet. A love affair between Stevie Nicks and Don Henley, lead singer of the Eagles, started in the late 1970s when Nicks felt more free on the bluesy song Leather and Lace. From Nicks' 1981 debut album Belladonna. Henley's influence is clear, and the couple broke up, even though rumors of them getting married kept going around, Nicks told Vox magazine. In 1992, after all these years, she was pregnant by 3 men, including Henley. She talked about how it was a terrible choice she had to make to follow her music career, but she chose to end the pregnancy anyway. In 2009, Nicks talked more about her decision not to have children, telling the Western Australian that her music came before even her normal family life. She also talked about Henley's claim that they wrote Sarah to remember their unborn child. According to NX, Sarah Rear, who later married Mick Fleetwood, was the real inspiration for the song because she had planned to name her daughter Sarah. Stevie Nicks is still troubled by a lingering. When Robin Snyder was diagnosed with leukemia and told she would not survive in 1983, Kim Anderson, her close friend Robin Snyder's widow, was her spouse. Nicks would use drugs and alcohol to dull the pain of her loss while visiting the hospital. She should get sober and not visit while she was drunk, her worried friend told her Matthew Robin. Snyder's newborn baby was left behind when she tragically died suddenly. Anderson needed someone to lean on, so Nick suggested marriage as a possible solution. Others strongly disapproved of their choice, though, and Nick saw that Anderson's marriage had been a bad attempt to satisfy her false belief about what Robin would have wanted when she died. When she looked down at the baby's still cradle, she realized she had made a mistake. She had taken her friend's sign to end the marriage. The divorce was finalized 3 months later, and Nick stayed with Matthew, the son of her late friend. Fleetwood Mac's album Behind the Mask, which came out in September 1990, was a big disappointment at the box office, and Stevie Nicks quit the band to focus on her solo career. Some say that Nick's decision to leave the band was partly due to a disagreement with Mick Fleetwood over how her song Silver Springs was used on his solo album. Nick went on a solo adventure after Fleetwood left the band and showed off her unique vocal and songwriting skills on the album she released. Time Space The Best of Stevie Nicks was a 1991 compilation CD she put together to celebrate the 10th anniversary of her professional start as a solo artist. Both critics and listeners liked it, praised the album, which cemented Nick's status as a beloved solo performer. Although Nicks initially focused on a solo career, she did reunite with Fleetwood Mac for President Bill Clinton's inauguration ball in 1992. Despite her early plans to remain a permanent band member, she found that working on solo projects gave her more freedom to be creative. She had freedom and was able to grow as a person, but Nicks has always had a soft spot for Fleetwood Mac and how they worked together on the album The Dance in 1997. Nicks returned to Fleetwood Mac because she loved music and wanted to share her songs with the world. It was a turning point in her career when she reunited with her bandmates for a reunion show, which let her rediscover how much she loved performing with them. New York still balances her commitment to Fleetwood Mac with her solo career, making important contributions to both that solidify her status as a groundbreaking and legendary female musician of her time. Stevie Nicks' career has been nothing short of spectacular. Since 1977, she has received an amazing 14 Grammy nominations and won 2 with Fleetwood Mac. Even though she hasn't won a Grammy for her solo work yet, there's no denying her influence on the music business. One of New's biggest achievements is the commercial success of her solo album Belladonna, which has sold more than 5 million copies in the US alone. Rolling Stone named her rock roll royalty and included her on their list of the 100 greatest singers of all time for her incredible skill. Nicks has sold over 140 million records worldwide, including her work with Fleetwood Mac. In addition to her many musical accomplishments, Nicks has had a profound impact on many people's lives. To help wounded troops receive music on iPods, she started the Stevie Nicks Troops Angel Foundation in 2006. Nicks founded the group and even wrote a song about it in 2011. Drawing inspiration from her visits to wounded soldiers, the United Service Organizations gave Nicks the Outstanding Achievement Award in 2015 in recognition of her charitable work. As a fighter and innovator, Stevie Nicks left an impression on people that still motivates them today. Nicks broke new ground in 2019 when she became the first woman to be inducted into both the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and the Grammy Hall of Fame. Harry Styles, the musician Nicks lovingly calls the son I never had, was there to celebrate her entrance. Nicks's life is full of gratitude, and in addition to her loving friends and loyal fans, she has been very successful financially, with an estimated net worth. Nicks is humble and keeps touring. She just released a concert DVD called 24 Karat Gold, but she never got to meet the famous feminist and legal icon Ruth Bader Ginsburg. This is one of Nicks's few regrets. Nicks recognized Ginsburg's important impact on women's rights and voiced her admiration for her. To honor Ginsburg's groundbreaking work in the fight for equality, Nicks inducted her into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame of Life, which was a fitting tribute to her as a real political rock star.